Okay, so I'm back, and this is an unscheduled show. So I'm waiting for other people to show up, find it, and show up before I really get started. Let me know when you show up and you can see me. Make sure I'm on live chat so I can see anyone who shows up. Hello, Joe. Steve, I'm not sure you're going to want to buy them. And no, I can't put them up for sale because it's not my roll of coins. These coins belong to Majestic. So we'd have to talk to Majestic about whether or not he would even want to sell them. They're circulated coins. They were soaked in oil, and who knows for how long. They're not rusted, no, because they were soaked in oil. But they're not the prettiest coins either. Don't think you're going to want to get into these. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and put up the first coin under the scope so we can see what we're talking about. See, this is one of the coins from this roll. This is probably the worst coin in the roll. We're going to take a look at it anyway, right? I mean, why not? Looks like craters on the moon. No, not a BU roll. But it will be fun, yes. See what we can find here. I don't see any hub doubling on this. It's really hard to see most of the details. This coin was actually a pretty decent looking coin before whatever took hold of it did. And there's not really anything that can be done for these. Yeah, I think he just wants me to take a good look through these for him to make sure that there's not anything of high value in here. And 43D is known to produce one superb repunchment mark. Oh, Farm Dog. We're just taking a look through this 1943D roll here. This is a circulated roll that was dunked in oil. And it was stored in oil for a good long time. Probably to keep the coins from turning any worse than they already had. This will be coin number 3 now for this roll. We do not have anything here. This one is actually one I can see the details on much better. But I'm not seeing anything here. Hey, Randy. This one got dug into quite badly. Circulation damage. Looks like it was maybe a parking lot coin at one point in time. Oh, I have some like these too. Up to the 4th coin in the roll now. I hope Majestic comes by. He was in our last stream, which is why we're doing this stream now. I did it to make sure that he would be able to show up. And, well, he's not commenting if he's watching. Hi, Tim. We're just going through a circulated roll of 1943D Lincoln cents. These are steel cents, so they're kind of a little bit rusty, and someone put them in oil quite some time ago and stored them in oil. And so this is what the result is. The result of storing circulated 1943 cents in oil. There's a couple of nice double dies to find 1943 as well. There's a double die reverse that shows really well in the Sea of Scent. Oh, yeah, you got yourself a late dice date group of coins. Yeah, all of them look like garbage up close. Well, this isn't very far off that. These are generally a nickel to 10 cents a coin, and they're more for their historic value than anything else. Hello, Retha Yurth. We've got circulated roll of 1943D that we're looking through here just for fun. Seeing if I can see any of the major double dies in this. And if I can see any of the major double dies, I'll tell you how I found them. Just by knowing what I'm looking for. This one's actually a moderately clean looking coin. It's not a D mint though. This one is a Philadelphia mint coin. This one probably got tossed in the D mint roll because it has a spot below the date that when you're looking at it from a distance could probably look like a mint mark, but that was not a mint mark. It was just a spot. Boy, this coin has spots. Lots of spots. Spots is all I see now. Just a regular circulated 1943 here. And we have nothing on this one. Now the darker gray metal is actually the zinc plating on these coins, and then the lighter gray material, the silverish colored material, is the steel. So you've actually worn completely through the plating in some areas on these coins, and that's the problem with plated coins, is once they start to wear, you break through the plating. Which exposes the reason why you plated them in the first place. You have a metal underneath which is very reactive to moisture because it has iron in it and iron rusts. So this is a steel coin. Steel coins rust. They also had a whole lot of problems with minting these coins in the first place because you were minting steel planchets using steel dies. Now one was harder than the other and whatnot, and there was some difference. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like somebody tried to drill a hole in this one. And then the bit slipped. So you got the little added benefit. It looks like a face right there. You see it? I can see it. Looks like an elongated face. Long nose going down into lips. Or if you look at it like this, it looks kind of like a misshapen. This looks like a misshapen skull. But they had so many problems minting these coins that they simply did not want to move on for a second year. So luckily enough, there were enough shell casings coming back from the war in 1944 that they were able to go back to minting the coins out of bronze. Called it shell case bronze at that point. Purchased a bag of 5,000 wheat cents. Looking forward to going through them. I wish you the best with that. Looks like we're going to have damage on the other side because we have a piece bulging out here. This is going to be somewhere near the back of the coat. Near the back of the coat. We're going to have some sort of damage on the other side poking through. Let's see how close I am. Wow. The back of the coat. There we go. We've got damage on the back of the coat, and it's poking all the way through the coin. There's a little bit more damage for you right there. Yeah, 5,000 coins will take a while to go through. Yes, I'm sitting here with a little bag that has 150 1911D pennies in it. I don't want to go through it because it's going to take time. Man, seriously. It doesn't matter what side I look at first on these, so I'm just plopping them down, taking a look, seeing if I can find any of the stuff I know that I would be looking for. See if there's anything major in this. Anything less than an FS listed double die or a repunch mint mark is probably not going to have a whole lot of value. Primarily because of the condition of the coins. That was after storing them in the oil. No. I was thinking there for a minute I might be looking at a minor double die, but I'm not. There's just not one there. Let's see what that is on the inside of the C. Nothing. Okay. I don't know how long these were in oil. I wish David come by and let us know the story on these. But he just had an 18-hour day. He's probably not in much of a mood to be watching YouTube right now, unless this is what he does to go to sleep, and he's already asleep. But I said I was going to be making this little broadcast right here and doing this little broadcast as soon as I was finished with the reveal roll. That 46D roll was nice. Had a good time with it. You can see there's little double outlines around a lot of these letters. You're going to see that a lot in the steel cents because you have a zinc plating over a steel cent. Once you break through the zinc plating, you're going to see the outline of the steel where steel meets zinc. So that's why you have what looks like doubling on the CE of cent here. That's not doubling. That's actually just worn all the way through the plating. So why would you want to store these in oil? Well, because they're made of steel. Steel rusts. Given steel rusts, if you wanted to, well, kind of come up with a educated guess as to what would make them last longer, you'd want to put them in oil. Now, what kind of oil you put them in would make a big difference. These could have been stored in motor oil or machine oil. I probably would have stored them in mineral oil because mineral oil is the purest of oils that will do the least amount of damage to coins. Stonecutter. Honestly, at this point, I don't remember. You'd have to go back and watch the broadcast to see. Or, in case you have heard about it but not yet seen it, there is a web page that you can go to see what I've held back out of the reveal rolls because they're die varieties. It's going to be at tinyurl. It's tinyurl.com/CC reveals. Copper Coins reveals. CC reveals. You go and you look at that. That will tell you whose coins I have held back. It'll tell you what the die numbers are that I've assigned to those coins once I find die numbers for them. It'll tell you a lot of information. It'll tell you when I'm going to be mailing them back out. A lot of them that I have in there now are going to be mailed out tomorrow because tomorrow morning I'm going to create the flip inserts for them, get the flip inserts in there and get them put together, have them all done, ready by late afternoon tomorrow. I'll take them over to the post office and drop them in the box. Not a whole lot going on in this one. Not seeing much yet. Generally, on average, when you go through a circulated roll of 1943 or 1943D Lincoln cents, you're going to find one or two RPMs or one or two double dies generally. And if your roll is uncirculated in better shape, you might find a little bit more. But the idea of finding any of the FS listed stuff in here is going to be a little bit on the scarce side. This is a much nicer coin than a lot of the rest. Looking at that lower serif on the mint mark. Doesn't appear to be anything. I keep moving. This one's in better shape than a lot of those other coins were. Not saying a whole lot, but it is in better shape by a country mile. Tim, we didn't really have any kind of a hurricane. It's just rain. That's all. And yeah, we're feeling the effect of it. It's been raining most of the day, but it's not a big deal. You're talking to a guy who lived in Florida for a decade, so I don't have any fear of a little bit of a rainstorm that they want to give a name to. But I appreciate the concern. It's not much. Yeah, I did see that. He posted that in the Lincoln Cent group, the Lincoln Cent auction group, that he got his FS 101 1943 and a 67 plus. That's the highest graded one. Very nice. Gotcha. This is a double die that I found in a roll I went through yesterday. Just happened to have some other 43s laying here and decided I'd throw a little coin up here just to give you a little bit of a view. But this is a nice little Class 6 double die obverse. It's in pretty decent shape. Let's say it's a 63. Very slightly spotty. Here's the reverse on it. There's some nice markers on this guy. Of course, a lot of them have nice markers, but this one, jeez. This one's got a die crack going all the way down from the top, through the U, through the O, all the way down almost to the E of cent. It's got another die crack over here running in from the side all the way over to the C. It's got die cracks and little things on the C itself. It's got a die crack running from the T of states all the way across and out to the rim. It's got concentric die scratches. It's got a little bit of a clash mark. I mean, this thing's just fantastic. But that's... Hey, what's up, Dave? Majestic is here. Can you give us a little bit of a history on this roll? Tell us, where it came from, when you got it, how long it had been stored, if you know, how long it's had oil in the coins. You'd much rather I open the 60D. Well, we can do both. I can take a look at both. We're just looking for minor stuff or the major stuff on this. See you later, Tim. You have a great night. Don't forget that mask. I'm just looking for any of the really big stuff on this. See if there's anything here. Oh, and by the way, Dave, November 16 was the week before Thanksgiving that you sent these to me. Not that that's any excuse for having them sit here for 7 months or 6 months like they have, but it hasn't been a year. Those cracks are the kind of cracks that you don't generally see on most other years of Lincoln cents, that you're pretty much only going to see them on the steel coins. 1943. So it was in a mason jar. Was the whole jar filled with oil, or was it just the roll itself? Because this guy I think he was evidently probably trying to clean the gunk off the coins with the oil, see if the oil soak would actually go all the way through the yuck and get it off the coins. Some of it might have come off, but some of it might have actually been caused by the oil. I don't know. This is definitely one of those that you want to wash your hands when you're done, right? Well, I'm about halfway through this roll. I haven't seen anything yet. doesn't mean we won't see anything. I mean, if you've never looked at it with a magnifying glass before, we could find some examples of RPM number 1. We could find DDO number 1. We could find DDR number 1. That's about the extent of what I would expect to be able to find in a roll of this condition. Hello, Mashud Ahmad. What? Look like a goose's head. Got a gooseneck here. Honk, honk. Wife made you go eat chow? And you're back now? Chow, you must be a military guy. Talking about chow. I eat chow. Majestic, you got a cat? A cat or a dog I'm finding a lot of hair from. That right there, that's not people hair. That's either cat hair or a dog hair. Looks like a cat hair. Marine Corps. We got another Marine hangs around in here. He goes by Bulldog USMC. Actually tuned in today on the TV and I was flipping around the channels. I actually caught a little glimpse of Gomer Pyle USMC. That was kind of a cool show. Well, I appreciate it, Mashud. Let's see here. You got a cat. So that's one of those things I can figure out pretty quickly. Especially like this right here. Where is it? There we go. Cat hair. Right there. That's why I'm allergic to cats. Because of their hair. Little bit here and there isn't going to hurt me. But sitting next to a cat or being next to a cat send me into a tailspin. Eyes swell up. Sinuses get all clogged up. Head actually starts dripping. Big sinus headache. Up to the point where I can actually even have a hard time breathing. Can't do cats. But I knew there had to be one or the other in your house because, well, I know what kind of hair you have, and it's not this. And that to the people who have not figured out that I've met Majestic in person, and I know what color his hair is, would think I was kind of strange, but I've met him in person. I know what color his hair is, and it's not the color of this cat hair, which looks to be a tan. Do you have a yellow? Is it a yellow cat or a tan cat? That looks like an RPM. Looks like that could be an RPM there, buddy. It's either an RPM or that is a part of... It could be a part of the zinc issue. Zinc plated steel. The yellow cat. See how much I can get just by looking at what you leave behind? And let's see. His name starts with a letter in the first half of the alphabet. I can't quite pick out the name, though. I knew a yellow cat one time. Darn near put me in the emergency room just trying to sleep in his bedroom. Went to a friend's house. Stayed at a friend's house in Kansas. And spent the night in his house. Didn't really think of the fact that he had a cat. He put me in the guest bedroom. Well, what I didn't know is his cat usually slept on the guest bed. So I was taking the cat's bed. Of course, it had been cleaned and everything, but that's of no consequence when you're allergic to them. This cat was a yellow cat. It looked like Morris the cat from the old Meow Mix commercials. Except that he weighed about 60 pounds. This cat was hugely obese, way overweight. And his name was Kitty Cow. Well, I like little Kitty Cow. Kitty Cow was a fine, nice little cat, but I could not stay in the same house with that cat. Just couldn't do it. Yeah, my body tends to react very harshly to the overexposure of a cat. My dad has a cat. Now, I've spent the night in the same house with that cat, but the cat basically hides from everyone, and I never saw much of the cat, and it didn't really bother me being in the house. Now, I did get the sniffles, and my eyes were a little watery, but other than that, it really wasn't bad. I've had worse nights trying to play pool in a bar with smokers in it. And yes, sir, I used to be a smoker. But I quit years ago. Almost can't stand being around it anymore. How many watchers we got right now? Somebody tell me? Because all I can see is 2. I know we've got more than 2. I don't know why this thing doesn't update by itself. 17. 17 watchers. Well, I've got about 10 coins left in this. If I decide to move on to this 1960D original bank wrap roll that he sent to me, that Majestic here sent to me, you guys want to watch that? Or are you guys done for the night? You may change rolls? Okay. I'm not seeing much of anything come out of this. I think we've had our decision made for us. So our little oily roll of 1943 Ds is going to be moved off to the side here. And we'll try this original bank wrap roll of 1960 D Lincoln cents. This is a pretty nice original roll. I can't really do a whole lot for being able to show it to you on this particular view because I don't have that camera set up on this. But it is an original bank wrapped roll. I have looked at it pretty closely. So now I'm going to break it open for you. This one is a Cincinnati branch, Fed Reserve Bank of Cleveland. So it's a Cincinnati roll. I'm hoping to get my other scope here within a couple of days and get that and the 18 megapixel camera set up and see how well those work. Okay, these did turn brown on the edges, but that's primarily because it's an old paper wrapper. Okay, here's the first coin. I figure out what that is I'm looking at. Okay. Nothing big, but... Okay, here's an example of what I'm talking about with this xylene. You notice how icky this coin looks? I'm going to splash a little xylene on it to rid myself of this garbaggio so I can see the coin. Here we go. Pulling it out. Back under. Why, that makes a huge difference. Took a lot of that garbage off the coin. It is a nice roll ender. but got nothing on that side. And generally nothing on the reverse of these, but I will look for anything major on the reverse just in case. Tends to be that we might have forgotten something or not ever seen it. Here's a little die chip in the 9 on this one. The light box I use for my scope is by Applied Scientific Devices Corporation. It's an Echolight 150. It is a halogen light, rheostat controlled, 180 watt light box with a dual fiber optic light guide. I priced it recently, and I'm glad that I've had mine for a long time, because this box, brand new, sorry about that, this box, brand new, is $680, and the dual fiber optic light guide that I use is another $500, so it's almost $1,200 for the light that I use, which would probably spook me away from buying it in the first place. So I got mine pretty much as a gift from a friend. And then over the years, I've been watching for other ones to show up. And you can actually find them for anywhere between $150 and $300. And they are, I'm going to say, pretty much necessary if you're going to be taking photographs of coins or anything to that effect under your microscope. They're pretty much necessary, because they are just wonderful when it comes to getting light set up just right for photographs. And I wish I could show you what I was talking about, but I don't really have a good way of showing it to you with the camera I do have and the scope that I do have. But once I get this other scope and camera, I'm going to be doing everything I can to at least bring up a light, scope, camera all together on screen so that you guys can see what I see when I'm actually looking through my better scope. The people were green. Yeah, right now I can't really help you, Farm Dog, but I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep an eyeball out for any of these others that actually show up. And I'm going to work on trying to acquire a few of them, because I would like to be able to provide them to people who ask about my lighting. Because my lighting, when I do photographs of coins, my lighting actually turns out pretty nice. Somehow, some way, Jessica tends to get pretty good lighting when she's doing images for her auctions, and she does that with the same Dynoscope that I'm using now. I've not ever been able to get really good, successful lighting on a Dynoscope to do photographs, pictures for auction. But if you've seen any of my micrographs, you've seen photos taken through my microscope. Now, the macro shots showing the obverse and reverse of the coins, I do not use a microscope for that. That's a macro lens set up on a Nikon D80 camera. Looking here to see if I could find anything else on this. Don't see anything here. Oh, Rithy. I need to get you... the blue names with the wrench means that I have made those people moderators. And I make everyone a moderator who proves himself not to be a troll. I just forgot to do your name. You should come up blue with a wrench now, too. Well, I'm not finding anything on this roll. Not yet, anyway. Doesn't mean we won't. I've seen rolls that had 1 or 2 RPMs in the entire roll. But this is 8 coins in now. That's an RPM, I think. It's kind of minor, but I think it's an RPM. Nope. Just had stuff sitting on top of the coin. I thought that upper serif was an RPM, but it's not. It's just a little bit of stuff sitting on top of the mint mark. Nothing good so far, Paul. We're just kind of rifling through this roll real quick to see if we find anything. I always check In God We Trust for double die on these because there is a nice double die 1960D. A lot of people don't even know about it, but they are nice. I popped one up under the scope one time so people could see it. This is one of those rolls that I can generally do rather quickly because, well, I'm not drawing names and not trying to describe everything. I'm just kind of looking. If I see anything, I'll definitely stop, but until then, I'm just going to keep rolling. This was a show format that I had planned on doing at one point in time. Then I got so busy doing roll reveals that I just don't have time to do roll digs. Roll digs were typically going to be a deal where, say like for instance, this 1960D roll. If it were my roll, I would open it and I would start going through it. And if I ran into anything of value, I'd show you what I had of value that I had run into. And then I would let people bid on it. And it would be kind of like an auction. That was my initial plan with that show. So we go through rolls and we're only going to bid on the stuff that actually has value. The rest of it just stays with me. Well, still so far nothing. You think that would work, Wild Bill? You like that idea? I got a lot of rolls of coins. Got a lot of them. If you guys think it would be something that would work, maybe I'll get a roll out sometime over the weekend and we'll see what we can do with it. Not seeing anything in this roll. We're getting up to, what, 4, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13 coins now. This is the 13th coin in the roll. Not found anything in this roll yet. And this was an original bank wrap roll. Just because it's 1960D doesn't mean you're necessarily going to run into dive riders. It just means that you have a better chance. And so far, I'm not seeing anything in this roll. Take a look here on the other side. Can I go through this one just a little bit faster than I would for a typical reveal? Because I'm only going to stop if I find something of better value than just a nice looking penny. Well, we switched over. Yeah, we stepped forward about 20 years. 17, actually. Went from 1943 to 1960, just like that. Just like that. Check this one out. Isn't that pretty? Nice double die, isn't it? Look at that. Big old fat class 6. Look at these letters. Oh my gosh. Like this coin. This one's cute. Got some value going on here. It's a nice BU coin. I don't think this one had anything on the reverse. It's just an obverse. Yeah, just a double die obverse. But a nice one. A couple of those typical zinc spots on the reverse. Alright, I'm through showing off now. That hurts your eyes? Going from 43 to 60? 60 to 43, 43 to 60, 60, 43. This one's a pretty coin. Really bright luster on this guy. Really, really bright coin. Will I let you know ahead of time if I decide to open a roll? Yes. How should I let you know, though? What should I do to let you know? That's my question. Because if I just send an email, then somebody's going to get mad because I'm spamming them. If I post it on Facebook, some of you guys aren't on Facebook. I can't announce it on YouTube. I could schedule it ahead, but not everyone gets notifications. This is an RPM. This one's rather minor, but it is an RPM. I'm going to wipe that stuff off the bottom of the mint mark real quick. That way we can see the bottom of the mint mark. Yep, this one's an RPM. This one's got a split lower serif. And if you look at the inside of the top of the vertical bar of the D on that left side, you can see a little bit of the under bar. So you've got an over barred and an under bar. Well, I know if I start doing it, people will just show up. But how long do I wait for people to show up before I just get started? You know? I was also thinking about like a special Patreon deal where you could pay a nominal fee for membership and get membership in special roll digs where I go through the roll and only the people present at that time are eligible to bid. Only the patrons are eligible to bid on the coins in the roll. This one's a minor RPM. I'm not going to be as loose about picking this one out of the roll as I would if it were a major RPM, but it is an RPM. There is one RPM in the roll so far. I'm going to keep it separate. Probably won't have a whole lot of extra action with it. Yeah, that one would never sell. You'll take it. That, by interest, that happens to be something that is coming up relatively soon. Jessica is going to put together a roll of minor RPMs. It's going to be an entire roll of minor RPMs, minor 1960 and 61 DRPMs. She's going to sell it at auction, an entire roll of minor RPMs. Give you a chance to play around with them for a while and see what you can figure out with them. Give you an opportunity to see what minor RPMs look like in person. Well, with much anticipation, I wait for the next nice coin to come out of this roll. Nice die variety anyway. We've got a lot of nice coins in this roll. These are all pretty nice gem red coins. I'm just looking for something to the tune of a die variety here. Nice large date roll. From, what did I say, Cincinnati? Yeah. Cincinnati branch of the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. We are more than halfway through the roll now. Found one single RPM so far. Last roll you opened had 50 different dies. Well, that would be a roll that had to have been put together. Because an original roll wouldn't have that many dies. Generally, an original roll is going to have 10 or fewer dies. God, these coins are really bright. Bright, shiny 1960 D Lincoln cents here. You can get yours now for only $1.95 plus shipping and handling. Just right to Penny Hunt. P.O. Box 621704, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Or call 1-800-WE-RIP-YOU. That's 1-800-WE-RIP-YOU. That's right, 60 years old, give it a break, huh? If you're this shiny when you're 60, I'll give you a break too. Heck, I'm barely 50 and I don't feel near this shiny. I'm thinking about doing Patreon, Randy. I just haven't quite figured out exactly how I'm going to handle doing it or what I'm going to do with it. I know that I need to be giving people a value for Patreon. You're going to join, you're going to pay a regular membership. You need to get a value. And I'm not exactly sure what that value would be. I know that I've got a number of different things that I could turn into value, but I want to make sure that it's value that people would want. It'd be something that people would enjoy having. This one is an RPM as well. This RPM has just a little tiny bit of another D sticking up out of the north of the D. You can see a little hump right there on the top of the mint mark. It's going to be a very minor repunch mint mark, but they do list these. Hi-oh, CVS. Yeah, we're just playing around with a 60D roll. This is a roll that Majestic Sounds of Coins sent to me quite a while back, and I just opened it out of the box today. This was an original bank wrap roll, Cincinnati, Fed Reserve. We're just taking a look, just poking around. I'm going to separate this one too, simply because it is an actual RPM. I've poked through rolls like this before, and I was 30, 35 coins into the roll before I found a good RPM. And it was one of the big major ones. And then I found another 2 or 3 before the roll was over with. So you never give up on them. Just keep looking. Keep trying. Whatever it takes. Just keep trying. How about you, Wild Bill? How's your weather down there? Wondering if you guys are getting rained on like a bunch of drowned rats. Well, I tell you, last week it was that bad here. I think we had like 3 or 4 or 5 inches of rain. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but man, I tell you what, when it comes down slow and steady, and it just happens for days and days, it gets old. But you got to have the May showers for June flowers, right? I think someday we're going to be seeing January flowers for February flowers, or January showers or something like that. Once global warming takes effect, I don't think anyone in the country is going to get snow anymore. Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. There's a nice little die break going on. That's a big hornet's nest in the corner of the cornice of the memorial building. I can remember back in the 80s, I got into this ad in Coin World and decided to send my money off. And it was something like send $5 and we'll send you 3 error coins in a catalog. One of my error coins was one of those hornet's nests. I revered that coin as a valuable coin for a long time before I realized that I had been kind of taken, because probably a good fourth of all early memorial cents have a die break in that area. In fact, to the point where if you're describing markers on an RPM and you say die break in the right cornice, it's like, okay, what's the next marker? Because all of them have a die break in the right cornice. Very, very common to find a die break in that area, and this is another one. Die break, die chip, whatever you want to call it. That's what it is. It's a broken piece of a die. Been raining for the last 5 days. We haven't had 5 days worth, but we've had our share. We've had enough. We did get some clear days last week, though. It was pretty nice. I was kind of hoping that we get some better days over the weekend, but I think this storm is expected to last until the weekend. It'll just be soggy. Just really soggy. Not a big fan. I don't mind rain. I prefer rain at night as to rain during the day. Helps my sleep. But at the same time, I know that rain is necessary because I've lived in places where it doesn't rain for months. That's not good. Oddly enough, it would be Florida. Florida is one of those places where you get rain almost every day from, April through, April, May, all the way up through October. And then around October, the water faucet shuts off. You don't get rain again until the following April. So you go November, December, January, February, March. No rain. Not a drop. It's that way through most of the lower peninsula of Florida. So come, I would say, January, late January into February, you end up with parts of the scrub there just catching fire. Maybe a lightning storm or something, or some dummy in their cigarette or whatever lights a fire that burns and burns for days. Saw palmetto and palm trees and stuff like that. It's a sweet smelling smoke, but man, it really isn't a smoke you want to inhale. Even as a smoker, that stuff nearly choked me. And now I'm not a smoker. Given I'm not a smoker now, I can smell things a lot better. I can smell things at a distance. My nose is a lot more in tune to smells than it used to be. Oh man, your central air is down? 90 degrees? 90 degrees in upstate New York, really? How is that? I'm in North Carolina, way south of you, and I can't get over 80 here. We had 86 degrees a few days ago. That was pretty warm. But we've had a lot of rain. We've had a lot of clouds lately. We did have a tornado warning here earlier this evening, but that kind of dissipated quickly. I've heard some rain come and go. There's been a little bit of rain here this evening. Not much, though. It's not real bad. Well, Majestic Brother, I'm not really finding much of anything in here. Not really finding much of anything in this roll. Oh, you've been in the 90s? Yeah, well, I would kind of expect that out of South Florida. And South Florida in the 90s, it doesn't seem like it would be all that bad until you go there and realize that you've got 67,500% humidity. That's what makes 90 degrees seem like 150. It's like you're cooking, boiling. It's like a live crab boil walking down the sidewalk. Just nasty up there. Now, I've said that, but I will also say that Southwest Florida and the beaches in Southwest Florida are probably some of the best land I've been to, where it's really nice and warm. People are kind of hospitable in that part of the state. Eastern side of Florida, no. Southeast Florida I wouldn't go to again if I didn't have to, ever. The year that I lived there was kind of miserable. I kind of got used to it because I had to, not because I wanted to. Oop, there goes my camera. Here we go. My Dynoscope likes to pop out on me once in a while. Never got over 65 in SoCal today? Aren't you lucky? Of course, that 65 is probably accommodated by rain, clouds, ick. Can't imagine it being 65 and nice and sunny there. $70 right now in the Sandlands of South Carolina. Are you getting a lot of rain out of Bertha, or is that pretty much past you by now? Okay, overcast but no rain. That makes sense. We only got about 9 coins left in this roll. Believe it or not. About 9 coins left, and I'm not finding the die varieties I would hope to find. I'm going to have to go plugging away at a couple of the other rolls that I have sitting around. I've got a 1944 D roll that I need to open up at some point. This is another one of those real minor ones that has a hump on the top of the D. So there's finally a second example of that RPM. I don't know if this is one of the ones that's listed, but it is definitely a minor RPM. It's generally the kind of thing that I sort of leave alone unless I know it's listed. If I find it listed, then I'll go ahead and put a number on it. But if it's not already listed, I typically don't list those. Just because they're kind of minor, and once you get into a later die state, they're really hard to identify and they're really hard to find. There's a minor, minor, minor doubled eyelid right there. Looks like a minor doubled eyelid. Very minor one. We found 2 different RPMs in this roll. One of them was an extremely minor one that has a little tiny hump on the top of the D, and the other one had a split lower serif with a split vertical bar to the inside. Not much, though. I mean, both of them were really small RPMs. I would classify them as minor. But no, I haven't found anything else in this roll, which, yeah, it's kind of normal. I mean, it's to be expected. You can't expect to find varieties in every roll you go through. I appreciate it, Majestic. It has been an interesting evening. Absolutely no less than that. You got me kind of cued into the idea of, maybe I want to go through some rolls. I don't know. I like going through rolls. I enjoy doing it. I just haven't really had time with the reveals and everything else that I'm doing. Maybe I should just make some time. It's kind of fun to do. All right, Wild Bill, you have a great night, sir. Try not to get too wet. Stay dry out there. It's a yucky evening. I've got a few rolls I need to go through and start identifying some of the stuff that's in them. Like, I'll show you a few of the coins I have laying here on the desk after I'm finished with the roll here. I've got 2 coins left in the roll. Not finding much of anything in the roll, but I got 2 coins left. 2 coins means I've got 2 50ths or 1/25th of hope. Hope is eternal. See, now I'm down to 1/50th of hope, but I still have 1/50th. We did have some really good rolls today. Man, what about that 46D? That was sweet. That 62D, that's a nice double die. I mean, that's a pretty nice double die. Don't get me wrong on that. It's just that it was a little bit minor, and it was a little confusing, and it was a little frustrating getting started on that roll and getting anywhere with it. Well, this was definitely a nice end coin here. It's got a little bit of toning on it. And that's it, folks. That's it for that roll. Now, let me show you some of the other coins. And thank you, Dave. I'll show you some of the other coins I've got sitting here on the desk. Okay, here's some 1943. A 1943 anyway. Nice old Class 6 double die obverse there. I think I pulled this one out because it has, it's got a little bit of minor Class 5 doubling, which is kind of interesting. I want to show it to you. Now, if you look here carefully, you can see it at the bottom of the B in Liberty. Now, if you follow it up, you can see it right there on the top of the E of Liberty, in the top and the center. Here it is in the R at the bottom of the T. So there's a little bit of Class 5 doubling going on here. It's pivoted hub doubling. You can see it best right there inside the top of the E and inside the top of the R. Now if I go up to in, you'll be able to see it there as well. If I can get the light turned right. I gotta get the direction of light just right so that you can see it. Okay, now if you look on what would be the right side of the screen of the N, you'll see a split right along that edge line. Then over here on the G, if you look on the inside, just below the serif, on the inside of the G, you'll be able to see a little bit of doubling there too. And that's about it. But it's a relatively minor double die, but I found it in this 1943 roll I went through. Nothing else there. Now, I found a couple of 1964 or 60s proof double die reverses. This is what a minor proof double die reverse looks like. See, this has got to be one of them. I pulled it out. Let's look at the initials and see where we're going to see doubling on this. Well, make a layer. Oh, I know where this one is. This one's up here, up toward the top of the design. See it on the M? You can see it right there on the M. And then here on the A. And look at the F of. You see it there on the top of the F. The top of the O. And you can even see it on the S of pluribus, on the outside of the S of pluribus. You flip it around so it's easier to see in the light here. You got to get it cranked around just the right direction so that we can see that separation. Yeah, maybe not. That's probably the most minor one I found. So let's look at a different one. This is a different double die reverse on a, I believe it's a 64 proof. See that? This is the T of cent. Here's the initials. You can see it just a little tiny bit on the initials, but if you look at the T of cent, you can see a notch there in the corner of the T. And there's the N. See a notch in the corner of the N. Little tiny minor double die reverse. But it's there. You can see it at the corners of these letters. If you know what you're looking at, the corner is stretched out just a little bit. It's not a square corner. It's kind of a beveled edge. Let's see. Let me take a look at this other one. This is another 1960s double die. Is this the same one I just went? No, it isn't. Yeah, it is. That's the same one I already looked at. Sorry. I put my other one on the wrong coin. Here, this one's a little bit better. See the doubling on the FG? That's kind of cool. And then your splits in the corner. Here's your T. Your N of cent. Your N of cent. No, guilty. No, N of cent. Here's the center of the E of cent. Here's the E on 1. Bottom of the N. Now, I don't think the doubling doesn't spread over to United. This is part of United here. But that's kind of neat. Those are kind of neat to find. They're kind of fun. Here's something else the On Chuck's Desk Today special. On Chuck's desk, we have this beautiful coin. Doesn't even feel like a real coin. Not gonna trick you very far with this one. Here, take a look at that. Hey Jeeps, how you doing, buddy? This is absolutely a fake coin. There is nothing real about this 1914 dealing consent. The first thing that I will draw your attention to is the fact that the rims are very not nice rims. They're really kind of soft rims. 1914D generally always had a nice sharp rim. And then you look at the D itself. The D is totally the wrong kind. This thing looks like it was made out of clay, like, a little kid just rolled up a little D and popped it on top of the coin. It doesn't look real at all. Now, a lot of the design of the coin is relatively acceptable, but if you look up there at the word God, take a look at that. The word God, it is a massive Class 6 double die. Massive. I mean, like 3 times as thick going up and down as it is going side to side. Definitely not supposed to be there, and never on a real 1914 dealing consent. So this is definitely a fake. Oh yeah, it's fake. It's very fake. This is like it's a Chinese counterfeit. The reverse of the coin doesn't look too bad, but The whole design is kind of shifted weird. But it's definitely a fake coin. Okay, that's that. That's my new 1914D. And check this one out. This is also one that showed up today. Brand new coin to me. This is my new 1909S VDB. You can see that obviously the rim suffers from not being fully struck. And then your S, totally the wrong kind of S for a 1909. The details are minimal and not very good, you might say. Now this side looks actually kind of decent. But when I flip it over and show you the other side, if you've ever seen a wheat cent before, you'll know this isn't real. Look at that. Something ain't right here. Everything looks just a little thicker than it should be. That's definitely fake. Nothing real about it. It doesn't even have real coin luster. It looks more like one of those, I don't know, satin finish medallions. The luster goes in and out from the rim. It doesn't twirl around the coin like a real one. You know. So this is a real coin. See how that luster moves around the coin? And then here it just kind of goes in and out, in and out. This is a doubled eyelid, by the way, on a 1944D. On a pretty bad looking 1944D. But let's take a look at the reverse. There's your major differences. Now, your reverse is going to look about the same on the 09 that it will on the 1944, but not in this case, because in this case your 44 is real, your 09 is fake. Look at E pluribus unum. Look how much bigger and thicker E pluribus unum is on one than the other. It's just horrible. Yeah, it looks weird. It looks really weird because it's fake. So anybody who knows what they're looking at in these is not going to be fooled by something like this. But I tell you, if you don't know what you're looking for and you don't know what you're looking at on these, they can fool you. Which is why I'm going to make an educational series based on these coins. I'm going to show you images of real ones and images of fake ones and describe the differences and let you know exactly what you're looking for to be able to tell the real ones from the fake ones. I'm even going to weigh them so you can see if they're off weight. Here's another one. This one's fake. It's a fake 1924D. This one looks like they used one of those little cake decorating tips to squirt the date onto the coin. It's just ugly. But everything's really kind of loose looking. Now the reverse on this one, although the reverse is a little bit light, it does look closer to a real reverse than that 09 VDB did. Now here's the other coin that I was showing off. This one's actually kind of cool. I've not seen one of these in this kind of condition yet. To come out this clean. It's a very nice vice job where they took a 97 cent and flipped it over onto another 97 cent and squeezed them together. I've never seen one with the design so clearly transferred. Very nice. Looks cool. I like it. It's not worth a pig in a poke, but now look at the reverse. They didn't really mess the reverse up that badly. It's not all that bad. You can tell it's been messed with and poked on, but it's not really all that bad. I just kind of like it. This is going to go in my showcase because I like it. I'm weird. I've got 09S VDBs that I don't care to look at, but these ones like this is nice. I just enjoy it. It looks like one of those masks, you know, the theater mask where one's frowning, the other one's smiling. It's kind of what it looks like. I like it anyway. And, well, that's what matters. It's my coin. So I will have to ask the gentleman who sent it to me whether I can use his name in broadcast. And if I can, I'll let you know who it was that sent them to me. Let's see, what else do I have sitting on the desk of Chuck today? What's this? I'm not sure what this is. Just a 1940S. I don't know if maybe this could be a minor RPM or something. Maybe a double die reverse. Yeah. Maybe. This looks like it might be a double die reverse. Little minor classics double die reverse. All right, folks, I'm going to go to bed. It's getting late. It's 11:30 at night. I appreciate all of the entertainment, all the time that you guys have spent with me. I always expected that. Hello, Misplaced Youper Girl. I was just getting ready to go to bed. You look at the metal sparkles in my pad again that I use for coins. This thing is about worn out. I can't believe that this is a typical piece of mat board, like you would put around a frame, you know, around a picture or something to frame it. Typical piece of mat board. I've had this piece of mat board. I've been using this under a microscope since 1997. This very piece. I've got two of them. This is one. I've been using this under my dinoscope. And then there's this one that I've been using under my regular microscope for years. Amazing stuff, huh? You can see all the slide marks on it. I've been sliding it around on here for years. But that's neither here nor there. All right, folks, I appreciate it. You guys have a great evening. And I will catch you on the flip side. At some point, we will be doing another show that's going to be at noon tomorrow. Noon tomorrow, we've got a 1956 D roll from the Seattle Fed Reserve. That's going to be tomorrow at noon. And then tomorrow at 3 p.m., I've got a 1951 D roll set up. It's 1951 D at 3 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Time, that is. And we won't be doing any more broadcasts during the day tomorrow or during the evening tomorrow, but we will be back on Friday. I'll be watching. I've got two rolls that are going to come up for sale sometime during one of these roll reveals. One of these roll reveals, I'm going to be selling a 1953 D roll, and then another one, I'm going to be selling a 1954 D roll. So if you guys show up at the roll reveals, you have a chance of being able to get in on some new coins. I appreciate it, folks. You guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.